I am Arsenal future rights, Arsenal future rights, Arsenal future rights. Yeah, I said it 3 times. Arsenal future family, how you all doing out there? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You know, if you're new around here, and don't forget also to smash a like on the video. We've uploaded, I think, 207 videos, so you can always go back into the archives and look at some of the older videos. We've been here since 2023. So, you can go back the last sort of like couple of years and have a look at what we've done. Some very interesting content, but we've got lots more content. This channel's only going to, go from strength to strength and get bigger and better. So stay with us, yeah? Subscribe. You know what to do. Smash the subscribe button down below the video. It's down your bottom right hand corner. And of course, like the videos. You know what to do. And it's free of charge as well, guys, yeah? Free of charge. Anyway, I'm here to talk about Viktor Gyökeres. Is it Gyökeres or is it Gyökeres? I've heard people call him Gyökeres. I've heard some people call him Gyökeres. So it's Gyökeres, I've heard. Gyökeres. But I'm going for Viktor Gyökeres. Well, that's the most consistent name. That's the most consistent pronunciation. Gyökeres, I'm not sure. I do like Gyökeres, actually. Gyökeres. Gyökeres is like a J, but it's sort of spelled with a G, isn't it? It's a G. So it's either Gyökeres, or I don't think it's Gyökeres. It's Gyökeres or Jo. No, it could be Gyökeres. Yeah, it could be Gyökeres. Could be a silent G and it's pronounced with the Y. But I think Gyökeres is the more proper name, proper pronunciation of him. Anyway, we're here to talk about Viktor Gyökeres and to talk about his goal scoring capabilities. A lot of Arsenal fans are getting really worried about his lack of goals. But let's face it, let's look at it. He's played 7 games this season, 7 games, 7 Premier League games. He's played games in the Champions League. He hasn't scored. I don't think he's scored in the Champions League, has he? He hasn't scored in the Champions League. He hasn't scored in the Caribou Cup. We've not played the FA Cup yet. That doesn't start until January. And he's played 7 league games, so that's 9. He's played 2 Champions League games, that's 9, 7. That's about 10 games he's played so far this season. 10 games. I'm not counting the Emirates Cup, what he scored against Atletico Bilbao, wasn't it? Yeah, it's now called the Athletic Club, but I'm old school. I still refer to them as, or call them Athletic Bilbao, because I'm old school. I remember when they used to be called that in the 80s and 90s. But now they're called Athletic Club. Anyway, same thing. And he scored a goal against them, beat them 3-0 in the Emirates Cup in the pre-season at the Emirates, and he scored a goal in that game. And he scored a goal in that game, but that doesn't really count because it's considered to be a friendly. It's considered a friendly, that the Emirates Cup, so that doesn't really count. But he scored 2 goals against a 5-0 win against Leeds United. We smashed Leeds United up. So expected to be as well, because Leeds have been promoted and they're one of the promoted teams, and even though they're a big club, we smashed them at our place. And he scored one against, didn't he score one against Nottingham Forest? He scored one against Nottingham Forest, set up by, is it Eze? Was it Eze? I might get mixed up now, but anyway, he scored. That one he made for himself. So the one he scored, he made for himself, I should say. That would have been against. That was against Leeds, wasn't it? That was against Leeds. And he scored a penalty, and then he scored another goal, which Eze set him up. So he scored 3 goals, and that's 7. So 3 goals in 7 league games, and overall 3 goals in 10 games. 2 in the Champions League, 1 in the Caribou, and 7 in the Premier League. And so it's early days for him. I personally think he will score 25 goals this season. But another thing that Arsenal fans are getting a bit worried about is that we don't seem to be creating chances for him. I'm even hearing talk that the way we're set up, the way Arteta set us up, we're not really getting on the ball enough to thread balls through to him. I mean, if you look at, say, like Man City and Haaland, because Gyökeres ain't as good as Haaland. Gyökeres is a very good striker, and I'll even say on his day he's one of the best finishers in Europe. He won that reward at the Ballon d'Or a few weeks ago for being the best striker in Europe and the most prolific striker in Europe. and I'm so happy that he won something, and that should give him a bit of a lift. But since when he hasn't scored, he hasn't. I will say he hasn't looked like scores. I think the game against Newcastle, when we won 2-1 up at St James's a couple or a few weeks ago, he played really well. And I think maybe that was probably, apart from the goals, that was probably his best game so far this season. The game against Newcastle when he shredded people off. He created for others around him, and he looked quite good. He looked quite good in that game. But there was no goals in that game, and of course he scored against Forest, and he scored against these two games at home against Forest, are like a mid-table team. I know they finished seventh last season, but they're like a higher mid-table team. So Forest are a decent sub, but they're not one of the challenging six or four or five clubs for the Premier League. It's not like he did it against City or Liverpool or Tottenham even or Chelsea or Newcastle. And he did it against Leeds, which is more or less, cannon fodder. Because I think Leeds are many people's favourites to probably, get the drop again at the end of this season. Even though they look all white at the moment, but we know that when the pressure hits, they could go into free fall. But it's not like he's doing it against the real. He didn't do it against Liverpool. He didn't do it against Man United. He didn't do it against Man City. But he did it against Newcastle. So there's hope. You can do it against a team as good as that, especially at their place, St James's. It says something. He's also not scoring for Sweden. So the goals have also, not only have they dried up for Arsenal at club level, they've also dried up at international level for Sweden. But also his partner in crime, Alexander Isak. He, he's also, I've got a giggle because Sweden look like they're not going to get to the World Cup, and then a lot of people putting all the blame on Gyökeres. He's saying it's Gyökeres' fault that Sweden haven't qualified, and also in the process, John Dahl Thomason, their manager, their Danish manager, also got the sack. And Isak hasn't scored, neither has Gyökeres. So anyway, my real worry is that I'm hoping that he doesn't go any more games. He hasn't scored. I remember that in total he hasn't scored for 7 games, and so we don't want it to get to 8. We're playing Fulham on Saturday evening. It's an evening kick off 5:30. Don't forget to listen out. Keep it this way for the match preview, and also for the match review after the game. I might even do a quick fan cam as well. We're going to start incorporating fan cams onto the channel. So reaction after the game, we'll give it to you. We might just do a short, so we might just upload a quick 4 or 5 minute video, as to how the game went, and then we're still going to give you a proper preview like we always have been since 2013, since we launched. That we never ever stop giving you previews and reviews, but we're going to start incorporating like quick after the match, fan cams and a quick summary and like of how the game went, Yeah, so like I don't know if I've lost my bearings, but as I said, they said he's gone 7 games. Gyökeres has gone 7 games without scoring. I'm just hoping that it doesn't get to him, because a lot of strikers, when I used to play midfield, and there was a striker when I played many years ago, and he didn't score for 15 games. And I remember in the changing rooms, a lot of the guys were saying to him that he looked like his confidence had gone. And a lot of the guys, we had to lift this guy up, we had to lift him up, literally lift him, and encourage him to keep going. And until the time when he started scoring, he scored 1 goal, then he scored a hat-trick in 2 games in a trot. So this is how it is. And this is only, I only played at semi-professional level, amateur. I was never a professional. I was an amateur. I was good. But this happens to strikers, and this is at the highest possible level. This is the Premier League and international level. But my mind tells me that Gyökeres will come good. Of course, the Portuguese league isn't as strong as the Premier League. The Premier League is one of the strongest leagues in the world. Some say it is the strongest. I personally think La Liga is still the strongest league. I think La Liga, then maybe the Premier League is number 2. Then maybe the Bundesliga. The Italian league, when I was growing up, used to be the number one, the strongest league in the world, because they had all the best players there. And they had the best defenders: Baresi, Costa Curta, Maldini, and those guys. They had Zanetti, they had Jurgen Kohler. That's so many great. Paolo Montero. I could name drop from now until next Easter. But you see what I mean? That's some of the world's greatest defenders as well as some of the world's greatest players. That's more defenders I was calling there. But of course, Wood Hoodie and all, you know, we all know who's, what we're dealing with when we're watching Football Italia on a Channel 4 on a Sunday. Just nothing but greatness and great players. Van Basten, of course. But now the Premier League, and then the Gyökeres is going to do it in this league. He's never played over here. He played for Brighton, but he never played in the Premier League. So even though he was over here with Brighton, he never played in the Premier League. So he had to go. He played for Coventry, but he played lower down. He played for Coventry City in the Championship. I think he played for a couple of seasons. Then he went to Portugal, and in the Portuguese league, there's only really, apart from the last couple of seasons, because of Gyökeres, funny enough, there's only really two teams in the league, and that's Porto and Benfica. And now, because of Gyökeres' goals and his prolific strike rate in front of goal, he propelled Sport Lisbon to title challenges in Portugal. And then they won a couple of leagues. I think they won the last two titles in the Portuguese league back to back. Now he's not there. It's more or less revert back to type again with Porto and Benfica kind of like running things as it were, But I personally think that Gyökeres will come good. There's no need to worry about him. What we need to do, we need to play to his strengths. I don't think Arteta is a sort of manager. He likes link-up play, doesn't he? That's why a lot of people are saying that Kai Havertz is apparently very close to returning for Arsenal. I'm even hearing rumours that he might even be on the bench for the game against Fulham. But let's see. They're saying that a lot of critics and even some of our fans are saying that it's quite possible Arteta could bring back Kai Havertz and drop or bench Viktor Gyökeres. And that will just, from a personal point of view, that's the wrong move because we paid nearly £70 million for this guy. But funny enough, Kai Havertz cost about the same amount of money. He cost 65 million, and Viktor Gyökeres, with add-ons and everything, rise to more or less £70 million anyway. And now we brought this new guy in, and then because he hasn't scored in several games, we're gonna drop him, And he's a renowned goal scorer. And even one of the goals he scored, a goal he scored against Forest when it was crossed in and then he latched onto it. I could never ever see Kai Havertz scoring a goal like that. The goal he scored against Leeds when he made it for himself, I could never ever see Kai Havertz scoring a goal like that. I just can't see. Kai Havertz, you've got to the kind of goals he scored are like more or less obvious goals, tap-ins or you pass it into, but he's not a guy who can make goals for him, for himself, And when you pass it around and he's there to finish off the move. Gyökeres can score those types of goals as well, but he can also make them, as you saw in the game I mentioned against Leeds. He's a predator. He's getting into the right areas, but he needs to get into the right areas on a more consistent basis. And we've got people like Eze now who can, play him in. Odegaard would have done it, but Odegaard is now injured again. And he looked like he was coming back to how he was a couple of years ago, or about 3 years ago. But he's fallen away again because of another injury. But at least we've got Eze, and we've got people like Zubimendi, who plays as a 6. But in my opinion, Zubimendi's an 8. He's the guy before the guy, if you see what I mean. He's the guy who lays it on to maybe the Eze, then Eze lays it on to a Gyökeres. Even Mika Mourinho. A lot of people that watch Mourinho a lot, or carefully enough, Mourinho can spot good passes, can spot when players are running. I've seen him for Spain, and he's very good at playing the ball out to the flanks, and he's very good at playing those killer passes between the fences. He goes unnoticed because he's languid, and he doesn't, and so on. But he's very good. He's got a good eye, Mika Mourinho, and he could be one of those guys that can, we can team up in the mid. He's not really a midfielder. He's more of a false 9, or maybe even more of a 10. If I was Mikel Arteta, I'd try and play Mika Mourinho in a 10. But he scored 2 goals for Spain against Georgia a couple of nights ago. So maybe Arteta might be forced to play him as a 9 and then bench. So Gyökeres has got 2 problems now. He's got Mikel Mourinho behind him, who scores a lot of goals for his country. And he's got Kai Havertz, who, the manager likes. He's the manager's pet, if you like. And so if he carries on this goal drought, it's quite possible that, he'll be replaced by one of the 2, So he needs to really get a move on and just try and hit that target. Try and have confidence. He's playing in a very good team. It's the best team he's ever played in. Because none of the other teams, of all due respect, none of the other teams he's played with and played for are as good as Arsenal, as good as us. So he's got to seize the moment. And I think he will score against Fulham on Saturday evening. I think I'm gonna go. I've not talked about that game yet. The preview's coming up, and tomorrow we do the preview tomorrow. So tomorrow Friday we do the preview. So, and I think he'll score. I think he'll score. He may score brace. He may score one. Who knows? He may even score a hat trick. But I do think Viktor Gyökeres will score for Arsenal against Fulham, and he might go on a run now because we've got a favourable run of games, and some of those teams we've got. I can see if Gyökeres scoring some goals in that little run sequence of games we've got coming up before the other international break, which is coming up in November. So I'm hoping that he can get to 20 goals. I personally think he will score 25 goals, all in total, not just Premier League goals in total. So including all competitions. So that's Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and the Premier League. And I think at the end of the season, we'll all be happy with him that he scored 20 plus goals this season. Probably end up our goal scorer. And hopefully we would have won a trophy to go with that as well. So happy all round. He'll be happy that he scored all them goals in his first season after a bit of a dodgy start in some people's eyes, not in my eyes, but in some people's eyes. And also, he would have also won a trophy. Hopefully, it's a major trophy like the Premier League or the Champions League. FA Cup is a major trophy, but we need to, we've won that many times over the last few. We need to win the Premier League now and the Champions League, which we've never won. The Carabao Cup we've not won for 30 odd years, but if we win the league and win that with the league, I'll be happy. But we need to win the Premier League as a one and the Champions League as a one. If we win the Champions League and the Carabao Cup with it, I'll be happy. But we can't win solely the Carabao Cup or solely the FA Cup. We need to win either one in the Premier League and also the Champions League. And if we win another one of the other trophies like the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup to go with the Champions League or the Premier League, I'll be very happy. That's a bonus because that means we've won two trophies in one season. And that kind of makes up for not winning anything for 5 years. So hopefully Viktor Gyökeres' goals will help us towards that feat, But like I said, all he needs to do is get his head down, and I'm sure he will, because he seems like a confident lad. Because I remember when he was being interviewed before, he just on the periphery of him moving to Arsenal, he spoke about, he believed he could. Somebody asked him, "Do you think you could step up to the plate and score the goals for Arsenal in the Premier League?" Yeah, and he said, "Yeah, I've got the confidence. I've got the confidence. I've got the confidence. It's been a long day. I've got the confidence I will score the required goals for Arsenal." And he seems like a very confident lad. So that's why I've got no qualms. I'm not worried about him. I've got no qualms that he will score. You know, he will start to score soon. And well, we need our attacking players, our wide players, as well as the ones like Eze, who likes to drift in the 10 role. He plays in a 10 role, and even Zubamendi, who plays deeper, but can come forward and lay a pass on. Those guys in Marino as well, even Deckers, because Deckers' strong point isn't really passing. Deckers' strong point is tackling, winning a ball back, having that muscle in midfield. That's his strong point. I must say, since he's been at Arsenal, I've not watched him playing for Arsenal. I've been to games before he came, but since he's been with Arsenal, I've not been able to watch any matches at the Emirates because I've had issues with health and work and stuff like that. So I've not been able to go and see him. But I remember watching him when he was at West Ham. I watched the game at the Olympic Stadium, and he was he was balling out, very very good, very very good. He's surprised now how physically fit he is. He never stops running, But that's basically it, and just and then also it's down to the manager, because I blame the manager for Gyökeres' lack of goals. I blame the way. He's got a defence great. Our midfield looks good, but it's our attacking the top of the pitch which is a bit of an issue right now, and we need to create more chances for the striker for Gyökeres. We need to play him in, and he shouldn't be coming back. But like I said, he likes link up play, he likes strikers who can nick the play together. But that's not his goal. That's not his game. That's what his responsibility. His responsibility is being there, and when the ball comes, to finish the chances, finish our moves off. If you complicate the thing, then it becomes even more complicated. Then what will happen is you've got a scenario where you've got a striker who's not scoring. It doesn't even look like scoring. So he's got to neutralize our game and make us more fluid going forward, and make us, get the attacking players to be more creative in order to get Gyökeres to score goals. Just tell him to stay high up the pitch. Don't come back too much. Stay up. That's your position, Viktor. You stay up there. Don't worry. We've got the defense. We've got one of the best defenses in the world. We've got a good midfield, a function midfield. You stay up there, and then those guys, the guys like Eze, and the guys who are going forward like maybe Saka, Martinelli. Don't worry. Those guys will get the ball to you, but you stay up there. But it seems like he's telling him to come back and join the midfield. And even sometimes I see him like in the defensive midfield position one time. I think that was against. What was that against? That was against Man City, I think. He's so deep. He's not supposed to be there. He should always be up at the top of the pitch. That's where he's a striker. He needs to be up there. He shouldn't be back so far back. Arsene Wenger. I know Wenger's had his time, but Arsene Wenger in his prime this would never have happened if Arsene Wenger was our manager. When Arsene Wenger was our manager, because Gyökeres would have been in about maybe 10 goals by now. Even after 7 games, he would be in about anything between 7 to 10 goals by now, and he would look more like scoring in one of Arsene Wenger's teams. But Arteta is so worried about losing. He's all about control, and everybody must press. And sometimes you don't need to. He's a striker. He doesn't need to press. We've got good midfield. They'll press and just stay up there. Stay up there, and then the ball will come to you. We've got players who can get the ball to you, deliver the ball to you, and then you stay up there. Your job is to put the ball in the back of the net and to run at them. And he's not doing that, and he's not allowed to do that because of the way we're set up, the way we're playing, the tactic and the mindset of the manager. And so things like this, why I don't think he's the man to lead us to glory. But he could prove me wrong. He wins a title. He wins a Champions League. I'll forgive him. But at the moment, it's things like this why me and others, we've got doubts about him. We're not too sure about him if he's the right manager to lead us to glory. But we'll talk about this some more another time. But this is just a quick. Well, it's now 20 odd minutes now. I wanted to speak for about 15. It's turned out to be 22 minutes. We're talking about Viktor Gyökeres, him scoring, him not scoring, and him eventually scoring for Arsenal. I was too close to too close. Yeah, and so my prediction is you start to score soon. We've got good games coming up, so I'm expecting him to score, and we just have to get behind him, and hopefully he will start to deliver. As I said, don't forget you start to deliver. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the videos. Thank you for those of you who are showing love to the channel and to the videos by your likes and your words and your subscriptions. We're going up by the day, and we've got more content to come. So stick around, and keep loving us and keep liking us. Surely, we'll return it back to you. Keep loving you and giving you the best content possible. Okay, so you look after yourselves. Our next video will be about, I don't know if I'm going to be doing a preview of the Fulham game, or I might be doing a piece of content about William Saliba signing a contract. But I've got quite a few of those to do because David Raya signed a contract, so too is Gabriel, and so too is Saka's on the verge of signing, and then of course Saliba's already signed. So I'm going to look into it and see what we're going to come up with next. But tomorrow, Friday, you might get 2 videos, 2 uploads, maybe even 3. Okay, and then of course that one will be included. Will include the preview of the Fulham game, which is going to be on Saturday, which is a couple of days away from. We're late on Friday. We're late on Thursday. It's almost midnight now, so it's almost Friday anyway. You look after yourselves. We love you lots. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing, keep leaving your comments. And don't forget to keep your bells on, so when we upload or when we go live, which is coming very soon because they're coming to sort the place out. We're going to start to stream some live games, watch-alongs, not live. We're getting in trouble, but watch-alongs. So we're going to do some watch-alongs. And as time goes on, when we build our community of you guys, we're going to start leaving suggestions of games you want us to stream. And so we're going to leave it down to you what games you want us to start streaming. Then whatever is the most, we'll do that game. Obviously, when it comes to Arsenal, there's no you got no say in that because Arsenal is an Arsenal channel. But like European games or other Premier League games, some of our rivals when they play, we'll ask you what games you want to see. Then we'll take a list, and then our team here we'll write it down and we'll do that game. Look after yourselves. We love you. Adios.